Oh, hello.
Yeah. Is it going to be a meeting today?
Yeah, I think so. It might just be us. I mean, Luke usually joins, but I didn't see him on. Oh, he is online, so we'll see. We'll give him a few minutes. And there he is. All right, give me
Hello.
one sec. Well, hello, Luke. And then we can get started here. I'll post the doc in the chat there so people have it. Mm-mm-mm. America. Ah, come on. Unfortunately, I need to reach out to Andrea because MD is incredibly slow right now.
Time to split it up.
Yeah, I think so. But he said that we had like the pro plan, and he said it should be better, but I'm getting this weird free plan character limit. So I don't know. I don't know. I need to reach out to him and see. All right, let me share my screen here. All right, let me know when y'all can see that.
I see it.
All right, awesome, awesome. So, so please fill out uh your name in the participation section, and then we can get started here. And then I'll give a quick update on 0.5. So 0.5, I mentioned that we should have had the PRs done last week. I finally got my approval last week on a Friday, unfortunately. So I'm gonna be creating the PR for the ID consistency. Um update. So I
Who's
mentioned
the
was
who's
that
the approver? What were you having to wait on? Or was it?
lawyers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we are still in the process to getting. So at Apple, we have this process where you can um not be required to go through like lawyers and the whole spiel, but that takes a very long time. To kind of give you guys an idea, me and DC have been working to try to get the CDF domain approved in Apple for 3 years, going on 4 now. So it's been a long time. And we're at kind of the final steps, but because we haven't gotten the full approval of that suite just yet, anytime we need to make any sort of upwards contribution, we need to get the whole spiel basically approved. So yeah. But we finally got those got the ID one approved, which is mentioned down here, is that ID will be consistent. It's just mostly to allow for tooling to work easier when things are consistent, and consistency is a good thing. So we're gonna have consistent IDs that have a known format. Um, One thing that I need to do as I'm prepping the PR is running the linter or updating the linters as well. So let me actually say that here.
It's like having
So,
an automated release process.
well, update linter for ID validation. So basically what would happen is if the format of ID is not in the correct format, it would just automatically fail. So that I can do as well before I click the create PR button. Um, then Andrea was supposed to get the version PR out, but I didn't see it. So I'm gonna go ahead because since I already got the ball rolling with the approvals internally, I'm gonna see if I can just get that knocked out today as well. And if I'm able to, then I can we can just like do the 0.5 release. So that's gonna be the goal there. And then this is the definitions PR that so we have a hard date, October 21st. If there's no comments or anything, we are just gonna go ahead and merge it. So I saw you had just updated a comment here. So let's pull
Yeah,
up the
I'm just catching up on that. Made sure to submit comments just before this meeting so you'd have no chance to review and
gotcha. Cuba as a store.
some like just like introduction to the document. I don't know if you want to link back to the
Oh,
spec.
store. Yeah, store as in not as storage as an artifact, but storage as a deployment. Like you're storing the deployment artifact there. Does that make sense?
Um,
So it's not that you're storing like secrets or whatnot, but like we're using store as the term deployment. So if you swap out store with deployment, that's what it means. Like when you're deploying something, you're actually storing something. Does that I know it's a little abstract, but that's what it's trying to be used as a word. But oh, I see what you're saying here. But you're saying that this is an anti-pattern. But yeah. So even though it's an anti-pattern, this is a use case that people do use, unfortunately. Especially here, like even in Apple, we use the Kubernetes secrets.
I mean, it's okay to use the secrets and config maps, but it's like they're a part of the runtime kind of thing where it's like they're, you know, Kubernetes as a whole, where it's like I tell Kubernetes I declare the state, we'll make it happen, and config map secrets are part of the package of things to make things happen. Um, but it's like my Docker image is going to be stored elsewhere, in Artifactory, and my Helm charts are stored somewhere else, and things like that. So like there's other outside durable stores, and then these are all the ingredients that go into kube to make things happen. Um, but
right.
that's just where I was thinking with the other examples where you had like the Docker registry, GitHub, and S3 buckets in that list.
Hmm.
So like I would not drop a config map into a Kubernetes cluster and tell everyone else like here's the config map. We have no idea where it came from, but everyone else needs to use it, kind of thing.
Right. So I think the idea for for this is because Kubernetes has functionality of storage, like for instance, like secrets and config maps, it acts as a storage, even though that's not its primary thing at some level. So I think that's the idea there.
I guess
Um,
like
y- y-
so when I'm running a pod in Kubernetes, there's obviously kube will pull the image from my Docker registry and it'll make a copy into the Docker registry that is on the host, the kubelet,
mhm.
something like that. Um, but I assume you don't care about that Docker registry that's local to the kubelet.
Correct.
That's kind of my similar thought here to these config map secrets. Like it's kind of like you're putting data in there, but it much like the node could disappear. Secrets config maps can disappear. Where is the source?
Right. But what I guess what I'm getting at for this one, which section was this in? This was in for
Like at the very
store.
bottom.
Yeah. So what I was getting at here is that even though we might not care about because the Docker registry one's a little bit interesting in that it's not really user facing, but config maps and secrets are. So I think that's the difference there. Is that what you're getting at? Oh, Victor's
Um,
having issues. Okay. Yeah, no worries, Victor. Because it's user facing, right? And it's tooling facing as well. Like other tools could actually add to the Kubernetes secret. I think that's why we would consider that a store.
I mean, I guess I will still need to think about that. Just
And
to
yeah, and
me, like of your list of examples, it feels like the odd one out.
oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Because it's not its primary, that's not its primary intention. But we don't want to say that any tool that fits in this list here needs to be only a storage thing, right? That's why I added it, because I wanted to show that store can mean more than just a storage container base or storage service. That it can have, like, if you're storing secrets, if this service does storage of secrets, that would constitute as a store concept, right? So that's kind of like where I was going with that. Not saying that it only needs to be a storage service or a store of a particular artifact, right? It could be like these weird, like, um use cases that satisfy the word or definition store. I think that's what I was going off of. And yeah, just using cube as a store, that I would agree is an anti-pattern. And it should not, that is should, unless someone really wants to do that, we probably want to say that that's not a correct CD event. Well, I don't know. Like, that's, people will do whatever they want as long as they satisfy the definition. It doesn't matter what the tool is, right? As long as they satisfy the definition. But these are just examples of like what a store would look like. And in this case, a store, if you're, saving configuration or secrets to Kubernetes, then that is part of the store definition. But yeah, please think about it. But yeah, this wasn't meant to be everything is, should be stored in Kubernetes, but just like config maps and secrets is a store. And when you say durable storage, yeah, it could be any sort of storage, right? Like, it doesn't even need to be a persistent storage. It could be ephemeral storage, right? So it's like there's multiple ways of thinking about, like, when we say store, it needs to be very abstract. We're thinking very abstractly here. But yeah, I do understand some of the why you wanted to call that out. But I think what I was trying to say is a little bit different than what you're trying to call out here specifically. But yeah, please keep thinking about it, and then we can kind of go back and forth on this and see if that makes sense. And I'll capture all that in the comment as well.
Gotcha.
Uh, yeah, yeah. And then yeah, this yeah, obviously this list isn't in everything, but yeah, I do like the etc. at the end of this to kind of show that there's more here, but this was meant to just give a few examples, not to encompass everything, if that helps, right? Or were you saying that Terraform and CloudFormation should be their own thing? But I think you meant under configuration files, right?
Um, I was thinking configuration, but I think that's also debatable. Does like IAC need to be its own thing or something?
Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But this would totally Terraform and CloudFormation, that would totally fit into configuration files. And that's actually a good call out. I'll add that because it's very different than these two these formats. So I'll add that. So I think that's definitely a good call out because
Yeah.
it is different. Because what I was trying to do is capture all the particular edge cases that people don't think of. And I think this is what's missing. So I'll definitely add that. Um,
Yeah, and just these next two are just
oh, I was going
if
to go the
you
other way. I was going to go the other way for this one. The CD event spec is going to link back to this document.
okay.
But yeah, because I think that's easier than linking to all the specs in itself. But we'll see. It's always flexible. Um,
Yeah, I was just thinking to myself, yeah, for either one to be because like for builds, there's the different um events around like if it's a you know build queue, build start, build finished, artifact
right, right.
packaged, artifact this. Like it might be interesting to see how you're thinking in line, but yeah,
But
if as long as one links to the other, I think that's good, but
y-
maybe it's helpful to link both ways.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll play around with it, like I said, going forward. But like I said, I'm gonna start going the other way first. And if we need to go also from this stock, then yeah, we can definitely do that. But yeah, that's definitely a good call out. That one should definitely link to the other. Um,
The other one, yeah, it's just more examples.
yeah. So this is kind of like just nomenclature. So I don't know if the CD of spec reference, I don't know if we need to reference, like I said, I don't know if we need, I was gonna go the other way. But I don't know. Let me think about this one a little bit because I want to be careful on how we go about thinking this. And I think this can get into what I wanted to avoid, which was being too coupled to the spec. Like these are just supposed to be definitions and
Okay.
not, yeah, to the actual spec. And the spec would be, so these are the definitions and the spec would use these definitions is how I was seeing it. But yeah, let me think about this some. And like I said, I'll capture all this in the comments, but since we have it here. Um, and then what's this comment? Is this just to add to the list? Is that what you're thinking? As separate
Yeah, yeah,
items?
adding to the list. Yeah, I don't know if they're like, again, if it's more configuration templates or if they want to be their own thing, part
Right,
of
right, right.
your I forget where I put that under, if it was like is a build process, does that include, manifest rendering, artifact signing?
Got you. So right now, these are the three standalone definitions, but there are going to be more. So, like SBOM is going to be, I think, its own class of definitions. It's going to be part of its own class of definitions. Manifest rendering, we are actually going to group that into build. Um, Unless you meant rendering as something else. I meant how I think of rendering is like massaging like a Helm chart to be its final manifest. That would be, I consider, a build.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's what I'm saying here in this comment, like to put this in your list of examples, like,
Ah,
okay,
gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's hard to say because it's just like it's like single words. So I didn't know what you meant by that. But yeah, these are definitely good call outs. But artifact signing, that one's, I think that's gonna be part of another definition group. But yeah, we can definitely think about that. But yeah, I'll go ahead and look at that. And thank you for taking the time to review this. I need to ping Andrea, but he's been very busy, I imagine. Because he's missed a couple of the last SIGs as well. Um, so I'll ping them again to really look at this. But yeah, this is definitely good feedback. And like I said, this one is going to require some more thinking. How I want this to behave because like I said, I wanted this to be more like as a dictionary, and things would refer to this dictionary as opposed to it encompassing everything and getting this being the most low level and atomic thing basically for people to reference. But yeah, let me think about this because
gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah, I
this one's
mean,
gonna.
just as you kind of explained it there, if you want to just put that into the beginning introduction, then that would like, help me understand what you were
Good point.
using.
Good point. Okay, yeah, let me add a comment for that.
Um,
Um,
and if you want to split out like a more, here's a introduction, here's a purpose section or something,
yeah, that's a good
things like
idea.
that, feel
Okay.
welcome. Yeah.
All right, cool. I'll go ahead and do that. Hopefully that will make that more clear then. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll definitely respond back to these. But thank you again. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Um,
And I
eh,
have more thoughts. I'll keep adding some more comments later today, and hopefully that's a good first batch of reviews for you.
okay, cool. Yeah, it's perfect. And then what else? There's something else. Um,
David DM'd me, I think, or I think it was in a thread comment. He's taking what was it? A lot of the stuff that I've demoed with Argo, he's pulling into CDViz.
oh,
Um,
really?
yeah.
Nice. So what, yeah, can you give me a summary of like what you guys talked about? Because I hadn't had a chance to look at it.
It's just it's in a Slack thread. Basically the demo that I did where I've come up with some mappings of Argo events to CD events. He's working on, I guess CDEviz has a, what does he call it? Like a transformer, his transformers. So he's taken what I've done and used that at his first attempt of a transformer.
Oh,
Um,
cool, cool.
yeah, and that we're kind of doing the same thing, whether it's like a source or destination transformer. So like Argo's notification controller is like essentially a glorified transformer.
Hmm.
Um, and it, pushes data out and versus I think like CD-Viz is, on the read side, on the ingestion, it can take like an Argo message and it'll do transforming to CD events.
Right,
Um,
right.
so we're kind of, yeah, he's brought that in. I haven't looked at what he did as far as how much it's mapped, but I think it's given him something to start with, which is, pretty helpful. And um, yeah.
Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, it's really exciting to see, you two like work together on that because definitely it's always good to see like, people using CD events and trying to make use of it. Um, closing our decision day. But yeah, and then but I think there was something else I wanted to talk about, but I
Did you get your approval to Atlanta yet?
no, no, that yeah, that's oh yeah, that was part of it. Yeah, so I hadn't had a chance to ask because last week was a little nuts. Um, I ended up or was that the week before? It might have been the week before, but yeah, I need to do that. Unfortunately, my one-on-ones keep getting skipped, um, which is what I was gonna use to ask him. So, but yeah, I'll go ahead and submit it, and see whether or not it gets approved. I think I can do it on my phone. Actually, it might be easier because they make the apps a lot easier to use, to get approval. So maybe I'll do that. I think it's called like app travel or something like that. But yeah, all right, I'll do that later. But yeah, I'll do that. I'll submit it. I'll submit it today and see what they say. And then and I'll let you know. It should probably be quick, but it's hard to say because sometimes they're very very fast and other times they're very very slow. So I can't really make a promise to anything. But yeah, but I'll go ahead and I'll submit it after this, and I'll create those two PRs. I'll ping you as well. I'll ping you, David, Andrea, and see if you guys are happy with the change. I imagine it's mostly David that really cares about it, but I imagine we'll be happy with it. And then the goal is once we get these two PRs in, we will do the release. And so the release is going to be I'm going to shadow Andrea because it's kind of like it's unknown at this point, like well, it's been a long time since Andre had last done the release, so I'm going to record it and then I'm going to create a private repo inside of CDEvents and then just house the recording as well as the documentation there, just so we always have it, because right now we don't, and it's all very manual work, which I also don't like. Well, it's not that it's manual. There's GitHub actions that you push the button, but I think the SDKs are a little bit more manual, so there's more information that needs to be found there. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of the gist of everything. And yeah, so like I said, like Conduit is also going to start making its rounds as well, like where we're going to start thinking about how to model some things inside of Conduit, and to bring up that point here, or one of David's points, is we got into a long discussion about like why because David was originally thinking about inputs and outputs, which is this, which I don't know if you're familiar with. Were you here when this was proposed?
I mean, I was at your presentation at um in Denver.
Right, right. Which we
So that's
talked about this. So you saw Yeah, so you saw this, but I don't know if you were here when we talked about it in the meeting. I think this was
No, I don't
before.
think it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
this was before you were here. Okay, cool. So yeah, this is basically that talk. So that's what David was thinking about it like this, but I had let him know that the importance of defining what a build is, because a test system could send these events out, right? As long inputs and outputs, but it's not part of the build at all, but they just send out the events because it's the best thing that fits it, then by his definition, that would be a build, but it might not necessarily be because we don't define what a build is. So I told him that's why it's important to define these things. Because just having the inputs and outputs isn't good enough if people are just sending them arbitrarily. So after we had that discussion, I think he understood that the importance of defining these things. So this is going to be the next after we merge in the definitions, we're going to spend some time thinking about like build like these like created like change created, change merge, and actually define these things in the same vein. Where if we go back here, if we take change created for example, we are going to do the same thing here where we're going to have these tables of like what constitutes as a change created, tool specific considerations for change created, et cetera, et cetera. And I think your knowledge of Argo is going to be really helpful here because I am more on the Spinnaker side, where I can give tool specific considerations there and like some like, and that's why Spinnaker is in here. But if we can add things like Argo, like what's specific to them and like their edge cases, then that would be really helpful as well. So what I was getting at is when you're reading through this document, if you could see that there's a place that Argo could fit in one of these examples, then that could be very helpful.
Yeah, let me think about that.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Okay, I think that's pretty much all that I had. If you had anything that you wanted to bring up or talk about, please let me know.
Only one simple question. I forget if it was like you or the DC that gave this example, like when you were presenting in Denver. Like if I were to my elevator pitch for CD events, I think you had summarized, I forget who said it was like to think of CD events, it's much like our code is packaged today in Docker containers, and it's easy to distribute those around. CD events is the container of, or the container concept for messages. Is that the right analogy?
Um, I, I don't That doesn't ring a bell. I was trying to remember. I wasn't sure if there was more to it than that, but if that was all of it, then that definitely doesn't sound familiar. I might have to ask the DC though. But can you say so you're saying that they're Docker containers and they're being packaged around like that? That's where I'm getting a little bit lost.
No, no, I'm saying, if I was to bump into someone on the street and say, here's what CD events are, um, and try to explain it to them, it's like, if you take the same analogy of Docker containers and how it is a standard way to ship our executables, um, that CD events is that standard container definition for build messages or CI/CD messaging.
Oh, I see, I see. I do remember a conversation sort of like that we had. But I can't remember if that was the gist of it. I feel like something's incomplete about it. Um, but yeah, if I was to summarize what CD events is, I would say CD events is the contract between it's the contractual obligation between tools to be able to function like or interoperate basically. Um Something of that nature. But the thing that you're talking about, I think that was relative to conduit and not just CD events. I need to think about it and remember. But I do remember saying something related to that. I'm gonna have to watch the talk again because but yeah, I think there was more to it than just that though. So are you trying to give a good example or figure out a good way to explain it to people? Is that the idea?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Just making
Um,
sure I'm understanding and yeah, of how I heard things in your talks and then trying to replicate that myself. So I think
gotcha,
you might
gotcha.
be right that that might have been the example for conductor conduit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it was relative to. But yeah, I can give you a nice sentence because I have a bunch of internal docs. I can just copy and paste a blurb and give it to you. That might work a little bit better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I think like usually like what CD Events is doing is trying to just make a contractual agreement and a consistent nomenclature across the tools, not replace their pre-existing nomenclature, like what I mean. So they can have their own build definition, but when they're sending CD events, they need to adhere to our build definition. So that's all they need to do. So it should be pretty simple, but yeah, it's basically just contractual obligation and consistent nomenclature to achieve interoperability. That's the end goal. Does that really say what CD events is? I mean, it does, but it's really too high level. So let me give you a concrete example that might work better, and I'll get back to you. But I'll need to think about it. If that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly. Yeah. If you have other material like that, I'll certainly take it. Doing my part to evangelize CD events. So how do I make sure I represent it properly?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, let me think about that some. I'll get that to you like maybe in an hour or so.
Sure.
And I can let you know. But yeah, I really appreciate, marketing it as well. Like I want to start going to a lot of conferences and doing my best to market it. Especially now that we're gonna start looking for people for conduit. I know you showed some interest, so I'll definitely be pinging you about it as well because we're gonna start thinking about doing some work and start making it. And it's probably, yeah, it's definitely going to be in Go, but there's a few companies that are interested in it. I just hope that they're all a fan of Go. So, um, because I certainly am, and I'm sure you are too. So we'll see though.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I do have what else I have speaking of the evangelism was there's after KubeCon in December there's GitOpsCon um,
ooh, okay.
and my talk just got accepted there and it's going to be the 10-minute condensed version of what I talk about at ArgoCon basically.
Ah, cool,
So
cool, cool. Okay,
you need
nice.
GitOps and CD events. Trying to make the case that way. So
All right, all right. Yeah, I mean, it sounds really promising. Yeah, I'll be really interested. I hope I can go so I can just see the talk. But yeah, I'll let you know.
no,
And I'll follow up. But yeah, I've been just super busy and a bunch of missed one-on-ones. So, but yeah, I'll let you know, and then we can figure out if I can't go to this one, maybe I can go to the GitOps Con. Where's GitOps Con?
it's virtual.
Oh, it's virtual? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I'm like, that's a lot easier. So,
Yeah.
um,
It's free,
yeah,
it's virtual. Yep.
yeah,
Should
yeah. Great, great. Okay, awesome. Well, if that's all you had, then I think we're pretty much good. If I feel like I'm still forgetting something, but anyways, I'll get all those things to you. I'll work on the summary or what is CD events in layman's terms right after this, and then if you have any other questions, just feel free to reach out then. All right, Luke?
Sounds great.
All right, I'll talk to you later then, all right?
Later. See
All
ya.
right, bye.